bespoke communication solutions. HiFi's mission-critical communications experts can develop a solution that's right for your organization, thanks to our partnerships with other technology innovators. Book this media room here just to talk about HiFi Communications. They will be exhibiting tomorrow at CommsConnect, but just let me show you a few things about the company and about what happened with the company actually. We all know about Starlink. Consumers are using Starlink, but also in critical communications. Companies are using Starlink as a backup or as a main service for communications. Now HiFi is using Starlink into their critical communication solutions. And maybe what you didn't know is that the company has undergone a transformation. In the meantime, HiFi has been established also not only here in Down Under and in this region, but also in the United States. So much has happened. Neil is going to talk all about that and even more. And for now, it's the evening before CommsConnect. Tomorrow, day number 1, starting with HiFi. As I said yesterday, HiFi is at the exhibition here and they're behind me, just right over there. I'm talking to Neil Jameson, he's the CEO of the company, and we talk about the success of HiFi. 2018, as I said, that was just the starting point. Now we're a few years down the line, 2024, and I'm really curious to find out how the development of those new products have gone and what is the success of those new products in the marketplace. So I'm not sure if you have seen the video we created with Neil in 2018. At that point you were just starting, right, with all of those new developments. HiFi was just starting as a name.
Yeah, in fact it was wireless.
It was a brand with wireless innovation.
That's right, yeah, so it was right back when we were wireless innovation.
Neil Jameson.
And now we've got a new brand of HiFi, which we've just launched this year. And obviously a whole range of new technologies. Everything's evolved so much from 2018. In fact, the whole industry has. Everything's gone to IP-based, away from sort of more of the older radio technologies. We've obviously moved forward with our mesh. Some of our new technologies are integrating TAC and some of those new common operating pictures that is not just radio-centric push-to-talk like we used to be. So it's evolved a lot since 2018.
We were talking about devices at that time, and you were talking about the fact that LTE is becoming something in the future, and satellite, well, that's far away. Now look where we are right now. You're using satellite as a main technology for your critical communication solutions.
We are, and I think we chose the right path. When we talked about that back then, we had some big, clunky, sort of military type devices that...
Big, chunky.
They were huge, and they were very expensive, and we had to find a way to scale that price-wise, get the economies of scale so we get the price to the right point for COFD and mesh. That could drive some of these solutions that we're doing today. So we got that, we developed our products, we came to market with those. They've been very successful both here in the US so far. And then obviously the next step for us was to then say, well, how do we integrate that with different application layers? The biggest advancement for us was actually getting the reseller agreement with Starlink. So we jumped on board with Starlink very early on. In fact, we were the first to sign up as a reseller in Asia Pacific for Starlink. It was a very big investment for a small company at the time for us to undertake, but that was really significant for how the explosion of mission critical communications was evolving. So when you look at what everyone was calling PSMB or public safety mobile broadband, and everyone's looking at that as a particular technology, we were doing PSMB, in my opinion, a long time ago. Yeah. So we have multi-bearer technology, LTE, satellite, and of course Starlink was a big part of that. And we've sort of promoted an ecosystem to run all these applications, whether it's your Motorola Smart Connect, Harris Beyond, your TAC, your mobile data terminals, all of that comes alive and runs on one single platform now in what we determine as mission critical environments. So we're not worried about preemption and encryption and priority like others are on the cellular networks. We'll take it all and we'll bring all of those technologies and barriers together. And that strategy's worked really, really well for us. If we look at some of the new products that we're evolving, the all-in-one that's doing that in one single device now, I think that's going to be a game changer. And the evolution of Starlink. So we recently won a very, very large tender to supply rural fire service.
Here in Australia, right?
In New South Wales. They purchased 5,000 Starlinks from us to put across their fleet of volunteer firefighter vehicles. And what's interesting about this is the solution we built with them that encompasses mesh, some Starlink, LTE, and the way it all comes together. A volunteer firefighting vehicle in the middle of nowhere, okay, has more broadband capability than I have in fiber at my office in the city. So think about what we can do with that now, and it's available everywhere.
And it's all on the booth?
It's all on the booth.
Show, so
yep.
I can't wait to see all of those products working here at the booth. And let's start with the Starlink one, right?
Let's do that.
Okay.
What we did was we started to put mobile Starlinks onto vehicle platforms for public safety vehicles, and we combined that with LTE devices. We combined it with power supplies, because remember that the Starlink high performance dish comes only with AC power, right?
Yes.
So that's not good for a fire truck or any other vehicle where you got AC 240 volt you got to plug in. So we had to create a power supply that was going to drive this in DC. And when we started putting all these components into a vehicle, we realized that the biggest challenge for our business was we couldn't scale fast enough because installing a service vehicle in the field, taking it out of service and taking a week or 4 days to install all these components and then maintain and support them was very, very complex. What we did was we took all of those components and we thought, what if we combine them together into a single unit that goes externally on the roof of a vehicle that gives you all the benefit without any of the installation and complexity that was preventing our scalability. It also meant that we could retrofit vehicles a lot quicker. We could move them from one vehicle to another vehicle. We could, one day it's on a vehicle, tomorrow it's on a tripod or a boat or a bus, you could move it around. So we created what we call the Hi-for-One. So this is running with the high performance Starlink panel. We basically built the housing underneath with a 7-in-1 antenna, so it's got LTE, MIMO, Wi-Fi, so 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi and GPS built into that antenna. You got your Starlink, and we've also got 4.9 gig mesh built into that as well. So if you look at the internals of that, that is everything that's required to run a really complex system with a Peplink router, DC power supply, mesh, and everything else that's required to do a single solution. So that is basically put it on the roof of a vehicle and simply add DC power and you're done. And I think that's going to be a massive game changer, because you think about the capability in that one device on the roof of a vehicle. It is just absolutely extraordinary. This was kind of like a bit of a show vehicle, so we do our demonstrations. So we've built in most of our technologies on this vehicle. You'll see we've got the Starlink on top, we've got mesh antennas. We've also got that little thermal camera top there, which is a very expensive thermal camera that we use for some of the more high-end applications like the big command vehicles and that sort of thing. We've got a Wi-Fi, the 4.9 gig antennas, these are for the mesh. So basically that's a demonstration vehicle. It's got a lot of capability, including thermal cameras, and we've also got our satellite push-to-talk connectivity in this as well. So it's got a lot of different components or technologies that's all connected back into our command center here through mesh. Now we've got this broadband capability on a vehicle. Vehicle is a node. And so we start talking about the application layers that we introduced that. So one of the things is common operating picture. So like TAC, which is very important. So Blue Force tracking, dot on a map, pulling on all plugins like cameras and video feeds and everything that you can distribute to everyone in the field. The key to that, and remember we talked about the mesh, the key to using these types of technologies is how do we get a connectivity from this vehicle, which has a connectivity to the cloud, okay, or the server, how do we get that to the user equipment or user device? And that was always going to be the challenge. And that was done through our mesh product. So when you had that big thing with the big antennas and the helmet and everything back in 2018, we went and made that.
Exactly,
okay?
yeah.
And that has dual batteries, hot swappable, so you can run 6-hour battery on the outside, 6-hour internal, and that's 4.9 gig COFDM mesh. So that is what's running right now, connecting the vehicle to me as a user, either on that or running on TAC through the control center. So I can now extend my network, my video feeds and my broadband IP network, I can extend that into basements, tunnels, underground, on a fireground, and we can use these really great broadband technologies that we have connected through the vehicle as the node and extend that out. And I think that was really where we're trying to get to. We achieved that, and we've achieved it really well, I think.
Could you imagine, 2018, we were not talking about those kind of things. They were probably in your head, in the back of your head. Well, wishful thinking maybe at that time, but it became a reality.
There is another presentation I did in 2018, and you can go back and see it in the archives, right? In 2018, we predicted that there would be a phased array flat panel antenna on every vehicle doing broadband satellite. Now that was before Elon Musk was obviously contemplating Starlink, but we knew there was going to be an evolution. We knew that satellite had to be part of the public safety communications landscape going forward. There was not even a choice that it wasn't going to be part of that.
I'm looking forward to speak to you in 4 years down the line. You do the prediction right now.
I think direct to cell is going to be a big changer again. So direct to cell technologies, which is probably the new thing that's coming. We haven't really explored much of that because we think that vehicle as a node for the near future is going to be really where it's going to happen. You're going to get a lot more capability and bandwidth through a vehicle and then trying to connect out. So I think we'll be focused on technologies that connect the vehicle to the user equipment and extend those networks out from there.
Jared van der Heuvel, Texas Department of Public Safety, we're at HIFA. Many end users are using the system, and you have some experience with that as well, right?
We have some experience since late last year. We first experimented with the HIFA CAP solution, the mesh solution, in Bastrop, Texas. We used it in conjunction with our Team Awareness Kit deployment, which is a fairly unique application that can operate over decentralized networks. And so that and mesh work really well together. So we use it to test that connectivity to that platform, but also to share live video. And in particular, we strapped one to a drone, put it up in the air to extend the range and just see what kind of distance we could get out in the Texas environment.
You use HIFA in conjunction with P25 radio communications?
That would be the vision. We're not looking right now for a replacement to P25 radio. We've got large distances to cover, and that ability to go into a direct mode for resilient voice communications is probably going to be necessary for a long time in Texas, probably like Australia. But what we're looking to mesh radio solutions like HIFA to do is to now bring that broadband connection or that high bandwidth connection to areas that it wasn't possible before.
Jared, thank you very much for your contribution.